Okay, well, I've just been pondering random thoughts, and I was thinking about what happens to our consciousness when we die. The hard question of consciousness. If we can't put our finger on it, is it there? And there have been a couple times where I've overdosed. Times where I I knew I was dead clinically. I could feel that my heart had stopped, my lungs weren't moving. I could actually feel that my blood wasn't circulating, and although it could easily be argued that that was just that it was created by the substances that I had ingested, and I can't refute that. I can't refute that in the least, at least not with any physical proof. I know my body. I've been through many experiences that are similar. I know in my own mind that I can tell the difference. And that's, good enough for me. I know how that sounds, but I'm usually the sanest person in the room. So with that as a basis for this next thought, I just want to say, I've been thinking about how so many people have these celestial experiences when they die. You hear so often about people that die and they see loved ones and so on and so forth. I've been in that place. I've been what would look really bad on EKG, and I'm not sure if it was kind of like when you take your keys out of a car and close the door and the light slowly fades, the blood force, the life force in the blood that was flowing through my brain was slowly diminishing, sort of like when you get your head cut off and you stay awake, stay alive for a few seconds. It's very possible. So I very well may have never reached the level in which the brain is extinguished. And I can't talk for a second about consciousness. But I have definitely roamed the the expanses of what some people would consider death. And I never felt any and never saw anything celestial, not for a second. And here's my explanation for that, is that at the time, I had been raised Christian, and I was raised to fear God, to fear heaven, to fear judgment, because that's what you face when you first arrive there. And so, although I had plenty of celestial images that my mind could have conjured, I think that everyone that reaches that point ultimately goes into an entire world that is the third man effect. And they experience exactly what will most give them the chance to survive, kind of like a death walk, in a sense. And my personal experience of that was entirely devoid of anything celestial. And the reason for that was simply because I was taught that what I was doing would more or less send me to hell. If I saw anything celestial, they would be holding a U-turn sign. And simply because of that, I didn't imagine anything celestial. And obviously, it doesn't go to the opposite extreme, in which, and what I consider further proof, is that it doesn't go to that opposite extreme. It's not as if just because you're not going to go to heaven, you don't see heaven. Not for a second. Because I've never heard an account of someone that visited hell and came back. It just doesn't happen. It's not God that allows the doctors to revive their heart. And so, simply put, I think that the people that experience those celestial experiences are already so self-absorbed and so self-righteous that they think that they're going to die. And because of the wonderful life they've lived, they're going to get a crown on their heads and become saints. It's so fucking egomaniacal, it blows my mind. But, simply put, there's no way to really put it simply. In summary, my heart stopped a few times and my brain may have not have turned off. But it was getting there. The light was getting really, really dark, and the only reason I say that it didn't turn off is because I was not aware of any crossover of any kind. So, if consciousness is something that exists outside of our physical minds, then the last things we see, the last things that we think that we see, that are visual stimuli, anthropomorphized ideals of the next life, are completely subject to personal ideals. I bet you there is no Buddhist that died and saw some Zeus-looking white god saying, "You shouldn't have been nice to everyone around you. You should have believed in me and killed Muslims. Now you're going to hell." Yeah, well, now I'm just Christian bashing. But what I'd like to say is that I think that my mind did extinguish. And I think so because I feel that when your mind extinguishes, if there's anything after this life, it is simply the trace remnants of the physical manifestations of the thoughts you created throughout your life. And the only thing that can experience that is the purely non-physical conscious part of your brain. The purely, well, not to call it non-physical, whatsoever, but let's just say within the realms of our knowledge, the purely understood part of your brain. When it detaches from your body, it detaches entirely from all the memories you've stored there. So the consciousness that survives is not the consciousness that you know. And so most people, when they die, if they didn't have a sense of self, they would remain only as an entity trying to revive itself in some way through the trace physical manifestations of thought that it left throughout its life. Yeah, I guess I heard it when I said it. Well, it's only crazy once it's become a subject of inquiry and been disproved.